I have a problem. Well, I've actually got lots of problems, but my specific problem is to do with my headphones. They have a ridiculously long cable that lies on the floor and gets tangled up in the wheels of my chair. Shortening the cable isn't an option because I'm always scooting from my computer desk to my workbench for various reasons, so I've got to keep the long cable. As I was rummaging around my box of parts, I found this massive spring, but this spring is way too strong and would probably rip the headphones straight off my head. Finally, in my box of bits, I found these 3 pulley wheels and I knew I was onto a winning idea. Now, I know what you're thinking, this drawing looks exactly like a face with a big nose, but it's actually just a weighted pulley that hangs beneath a pair of pulleys at the top. To ease into this, I'm going to start with the weighted pulley, which I'm keeping super simple. It's just a bit of wire holding a section of steel pipe onto the pulley, and if you're thinking this looks a bit dodgy, well, you'd be right, and we can now focus on the other 2 pulleys, and we can make that out of some scrap pallet wood, which I have in abundance. You'll know I don't have an appropriate saw for this, so just block your ears and I'll screech my way through this wood with a hacksaw. With that out of the way, I can figure out where I need to place the holes for the pulley shafts and then drill them out with my trusty hand drill. If you couldn't tell by now, I'm constructing this entirely with bits and pieces I've already got lying around, and apparently what I don't have lying around is the matching nuts for these bolts, so I'm going to have to come up with some other way of keeping the pulleys on. The only problem is the bolts aren't long enough for them to grab onto, so I need to carve out a bit of a recess for them. Of course, the grub screw is now inaccessible, so I also had to carve out a little channel to let me get an Allen key in there so I could tighten them up. And this finally let me secure the pulleys onto the bit of wood. Despite all the dodgy bits, the first iteration was done and I could give it all a test, which actually went pretty well. As I pull the cable in and out, it does take up the slack, but you'll notice this pulley is not really spinning as it should, which means the slack isn't taken up very smoothly at all. I ended up just drilling out the pulley so it could spin nice and freely on the shaft. Getting this pulley spinning nicely revealed that the weight I'm using was way too high. Then I tried out this scrap of copper piping, but that was too light. And finally, I ended up with this monstrosity of nuts and bolts, which was just right. With some very awkward hand movements, I could shimmy everything into place and clamp it onto my desk and then feed the wire through. And now I never have to worry about running over my headphone cables ever again, and I can zoom around however I please. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.